since he was a chick. So when we got him, he was only a couple of days old. He was hand raised since a chick. So you can either imprint birds, you can either crèche rear them, or you can parent rear them. Now, imprint means when they're fully hand raised. Crèche raised means when they're part hand raised, part parent raised. And then fully parent raised is when they're fully raised by their parents. So this boy thinks that he's one of us. When I'm sitting watching TV in the evening, he lies on my lap and goes to sleep.
Really?
Yeah, a bit like a little lap dog.
So I've always heard about that. How especially birds higher up in the I guess phylum with more knowledge, birds of prey, of course, but they can imprint on the first
Yes.
things they see when they hatch. I remember that with the California condors, which are extremely endangered in the U.S. And I
Mhm.
remember seeing that on nature shows in the past where they had someone really got a lot of credit from making a specialized puppet, and they kept the condors in a box that wasn't they couldn't see the humans, and they
Yep.
used a rubber silicone puppet to feed the shredded, the prey items, the rodents
Making
to
them think
them.
it's
So they
them
imprinted
feeding
on
them.
that animal's appearance and behaviors,
Yeah.
and they worked with them like a puppet in there. So when they released them to the wild, they learned how to be a bird and do their own thing. Is that
Yeah.
not, you believe in that still? That was a long time ago. So you
I
think
mean,
that's
over
true?
here, we just feed these guys by hand, and when we do hand raise them, you do get a lot that is very noisy. They are very vocal because they've been hand raised by us. So every time they see us, they're going to make a lot of noise because we associate us to food source.
Uh
But
huh.
when you get these birds flying and you start getting these birds out hunting when they're hand raised, the more you get them out hunting and killing something, the better. The more they actually start to quieten down because they start to realize they're hunting their own food. So they're not relying on you for that food source all
Well,
the time.
it keeps keeping their mind occupied.
Yes. I mean, but a
Huh.
lot of people over here in the UK, they'll go and get a goshawk, for example,
Yep.
and a lot of people imprint goshawks because of the type of bird that they are. They're
Right.
much better being imprinted. Now, what these people will do is they'll imprint a goshawk until it's say 15 to 16 weeks old. When it's that age, they'll swap it with their friend's one. So when it sees a different person, it's thinking, wait a minute, you're not the hand that's been feeding me all this time, and it starts to actually quieten the birds down a little bit as well.
So when did you first start into bird keeping in general? I mean, was it canaries? I mean, my
I
first birds
was,
were
I was
canaries. My mom was a big bird. I'm kind of a bird nerd. So,
the first species of birds I actually kept was pigeons. Now, me and my father and my sister, we used to race the pigeons and stuff when I was
Oh
young.
yeah, yeah, racing pigeons. Yeah, those are cool. A friend of mine did that out here for a while.
I mean, it's great fun. I mean, you get all different species of pigeons and stuff, and they're all fancy ones and stuff as well. You can get some really expensive ones, and it's great fun to get them flying back from France to the UK and stuff like that as well. So, I mean,
wow.
we used to do the pigeons, and then when I turned about 7 years old, we still had the pigeons, but my dad came home with a common buzzard chick, and he handed me that common buzzard chick and says, "Right, we're going to hand raise this," and that was me ever since for birds of prey. I just fell in love with them, and ever since
Oh,
that, I've just always kept birds of prey. So I'm now 35 years old, and I work full time in a falconry centre with 28 different species of birds of prey. And I also have my own birds of prey that I take people out hunting with and take them out flying with and educate people on TikTok with as well.
do you keep anything besides birds of prey now?
Oh, yes. We've got over 130 animals here at Shaw's Exotics.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Lovely, beautiful boy. And now we have got 8 dogs, we've got ferrets, we've got mice, we've got rats, we've got snakes, we've got lizards, we've got tarantulas, and then we've got the hawks and the falcons as well. We are looking to get a couple of owls hopefully this year, and as well as a golden eagle as well.
A golden eagle.
Golden eagle, yeah.
Wow.
I used to own a Russian steppe eagle back 6 years ago. Beautiful species, but they're a scavenger species. And I always says to myself, after I took that leap to actually get in the steppe eagle, I always thought to myself, well, you know what? If I start with a steppe eagle and I can get a steppe eagle flying, they're a scavenger species. If I can get one of these to go really well, then what's the next best step? It's going to be
Right.
the golden eagle. It means I'm going to have that experience enough that I'm going to say to myself, right, I'm experienced to get a golden eagle now. I'm not one of these people that'll just go and buy an animal just for the sake of it. You know, I've got experience with a lot of different species of animals. I always do all my research and stuff like that as well. And I always recommend people do their research and stuff. And that's why we do the lives on TikTok, is so we can educate people here in the UK. Because in the States where you guys are from, you guys require a license to own birds of prey. Over here in the UK, there is no license to own birds of prey. That is the unfortunate thing about the UK. So I always try and promote people to find themselves a mentor in the UK, someone to train them up with their birds. They'll then help them find the right species of bird for them, whether it's going to be for hunting or if it's going to be for flying pleasure. They'll also help them find the right equipment that they need, and then they'll also help them build the right enclosure. Whether in the States, where you guys are from, you need that license. When you get the license in the States, you have the choice out of two birds that you can go for. You can either go for the American red-tailed hawk, or you can go for the American kestrel. Now, you have to trap that bird from the wild. It has to be a first-year bird that you're trapping.
Really?
You can then keep that bird for up to 2-3 years. You then have to release it back to the wild again. But the good thing about the way you guys do it, when you release these birds back to the wild, they've got that better brain mentality on how to hunt. So they're going to live that a little bit longer as well.
Huh.
Over here, all our birds are bred and kept in captivity. It's highly against the law in the UK for us to trap a wild bird of prey.
Really?
Okay.
So different. Wow. Okay.
It's phenomenal how different it all is. I mean, I think we should be like you guys. We should have a license.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think there'd be some type of standard for that. I know different countries, you're right, you do your different thing, but yeah, with certain type of species, especially birds, across the board, you're probably on point. Why wouldn't it be more even keeled?
I get a lot of people that come to the falconer centre that I work at. I will shortly, hi Tam. I get a lot of people that come to the falconer centre that I work at, and most of my clients are people from the States, because they come and live at the castle while they're on holiday here in Scotland, and then they come down to the falconer centre and they book days out with us flying the birds. So they enjoy coming and doing this, because in the States, you guys don't get to do what we can do in the UK. All your falconer centres in the UK are all rescue centres. In the States, sorry, are all rescue centres, where in the UK, we can actually fly and keep our birds in captivity all their life. You guys, it's all rescue birds. So you get to see falconers flying birds of prey in demos, or you don't physically get to fly the birds in the States. Whether over here, if you came to a falconer centre here, you physically get to fly these birds. And that's what a lot of people from the States enjoy when they come over to Scotland. They get to enjoy flying our birds and handling them.
What do you think's a good bird if somebody wants to start with that? You said the American kestrel or the red-tailed hawk. We have red-tailed hawks. I mean, they're just, you can't walk 10 foot without seeing them in the
When
Midwest.
it comes to best species of bird,
To start with, yeah.
I do not normally recommend what species of bird to get as a beginner. I do not recommend prices of birds either, and it's simply just because we try and promote the fact that we want people to get mentors before going out and physically getting a bird of prey. I mean, you go onto TikTok and you watch TikTok videos, you're going to see lots of people on TikTok that have got barn owls that they keep in their houses as pets. These owls shouldn't be living in these houses. That is unbelievable how these people keep these owls in their house. It shouldn't be kept in the house. It's not good for the birds, and it's not good for your health either.
Histoplasmosma, right?
Not good for you. Also, the dust that comes from their feathers as well. So your owls, you can only keep them in the house until they're 13 weeks old. When they're 13 weeks old, they're fully grown, they're fully feathered, so they can then go outside and live the rest of their days in an enclosure. 2 seconds.
How big
Is that
Dred, how are you today, bro?
outside? Right, bye.
I'm hanging in there a little better. We're having some technical difficulties, so y'all bear with us later if something drops out. But we'll play that game. So how big is these enclosures? So if a bird like that, or you start him out little,
So this
obviously he's inside, but then when you put him outside, what's something safe? I mean, big as you want, maybe.
He's actually got 2 enclosures.
Okay.
So he's got one here at home, and he's got one at the falconer centre where I work at, because I sometimes leave him at the centre or overnight. So the one at the centre is not very big. It's just a tethering pen where you tie the bird down on its perch. It sits in this box pen, and it's dark at night time, so it comes back out in the morning. Whether the pen that we've got at home is actually the room next door. So we've actually got 3 pens joined on here. So our pens are 8 by 8 by 10.
Okay, that's pretty good.
And that's more just for your falcons and your hawks. You know, when I had my eagle, my Russian steppe eagle, he was in a 20 by 18 by 10.
So you don't. So they don't really have to have a lot of height if you're just keeping them. Like if I go to
Yeah,
the
a lot.
rescue
Because
out
you have
here.
to remember, like your birds of prey, a lot of people think when they come to a falconer centre that your birds of prey, when they're tied to their perches, a lot of people think that it's cruel. But what a lot of people don't actually realise is your birds of prey don't want to fly unless they're looking for food. So they're more than happy to sit there on a perch all day doing absolutely nothing. So you've got three weights to your birds of prey. You've got your fat weight, your flying weight, and your hunting weight. So your fat weight, they basically want to sit in a tree and do nothing all day. Your flying weight is when the bird is sort of hungry, but it's not hungry enough that it wants to hunt, but it will come to your hand because it's an easy food source. Whether your hunting weight is slightly underneath that flying weight, and that's when that bird is physically going to go out and hunt.
Interesting. So, it really a lot of knowledge from you or any handler, a keeper has to understand how that bird is operating, so that
100%.
you
I mean, it's all down to food and weight management. That is a key of falconry.
food and weight management.
Food
Really,
and weight management is a key of falconry.
why expand upon that?
Yeah.
So all your different foods that you give to your animals. So if I give him rats, mice, quail, pheasant, rabbits, venison, all of that meat's got different weights to it. So when I give him it, he's going to be different weights because it doesn't all weigh up the same food. So when we're flying these birds, what we typically do is we fly them to day-old chicks. So the day-old chicks is the ones meat that we can give them, which is easy for us to keep their weight management. Whether
Huh.
other meats, when you give them, they're more than likely they're going to be over that weight the next again day.
Okay, so on that note right there, because you hear people say, well, if you're keeping, let's just use this animals period, right? If you're keeping animals period, whatever, birds, reptiles, dogs, cats, it don't matter, anything in the wild, you try to give it, or you want to try to emulate its habitat the best you can, or maybe what they're eating in the wild. So how does that vary, him eating in the wild and being able to fly and hunt versus you feeding him in captivity?
The only difference with the food that he gets in the wild, it's pretty much the same diet that he's having every single day. Whether here in captivity, we can give them that varied diet. So we can give them a lot more nutrients and stuff in their foods.
Okay.
Whether that is why part of the reason why in the wild they live half their lifespan than what they do in captivity.
So
They get
we're
a
getting
better,
a whole lot longer in captivity because of the
yeah, they're
nutrition
getting
and
a
the
better food
variances.
source in
Okay.
captivity. They're also getting vet checks regular if we need to, stuff like that. Whether in the wild, they hunt mostly the same species. Like your peregrine falcons will mostly hunt pigeons in the wild because they mostly live in city centres nowadays than live on top of buildings. And the most easiest prey for them to find is your pigeons.
Right. Okay.
But you feed pigeons to a hawk and you feed a hawk too much pigeon, it gives it something called thrush in its mouth, which is an infection in its mouth and it's not good for the hawks. So your
Right.
falcons can eat so much of it, but your hawks have to have a less limit of what it's having.
Wow.
Lockie says, for an angry Scotsman, this dude has a hell of a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now,
So, what is the
you've heard
weight
that
of that
saying
bird?
before.
What is the weight of your falcon?
The weight of this boy just now is 3 pounds.
Wow, that's nothing.
We're going to hopefully have him out hunting soon. We're going to hopefully have him hunting pheasants, ducks, and partridges. Now, this is one of your most expensive type of falcons you can get. Now,
I
one
bet.
of these was sold to an Arab prince about 4 or 5 years ago, and he spent more than £375,000 on that bird. And it was simply because that bird was bronze in colour. His favourite colour was gold. It was the closest colour to gold he was going to get on a bird. Hence why he had paid so much money for that bird.
That $500,000 US. That's wild.
That's crazy. But you know what? It's a beautiful animal. I mean, right? I can
always
see
say
why.
to
If
people when
you
they ask me
know,
how much he is, I always say if you want to buy him, remortgage your house because you ain't going to afford it.
yeah. Wow, that is crazy. Beautiful animals, though. Beautiful birds. So,
I'll
how
tell
many do
you what,
you have? I mean, how many birds do you keep?
I've got 5 here at home at the moment.
Okay.
We've got the Gyre Falcon, we've got the Harris's Hawks, which I will get out soon. We also have our Peregrine Falcons as well.
Peregrines, yes.
Yeah.
So your
There's so
peregrine,
many different nuances to these birds of prey. I have so many things I want to bring up, but
this is a giant.
peregrines, they're so amazing when they go through their mating ritual. They go so high, and then I always understood that the male and the female, yeah, they go talon to talon, and then they
That's
free
actually not.
fall.
That's not actually breeding. That's actually fighting. That's actually fighting the other male off. Now, most of the time when you see your eagles doing it, and they grab talon to talon, and they're going round and round when they're coming down, if they hit the ground before they let go of each other, 9 times out of 10 they die.
Right.
So yeah, it's more a defense thing saying back off, get off my territory. This is my area.
Huh? Yeah, this was 30 years ago, so I'm sure the information's outdated. I thought it was a mating ritual between a pair, where they did the free fall. The peregrines did, but see, this is why we want to learn, man. Clear
Yeah, it's
this
just
up.
every day. Like you've heard that saying before, where they tell people the wise old owl.
Yeah.
Don't know who came out with that saying, but they shouldn't have come out with it because it's not true. Owls ain't wise. Their eyes take up 70% of their heads, hence why we always hand raise all our owls. So yeah,
Facts.
most people seem to think that owls can turn their head 360 degrees.
It's more like 280, isn't it?
270, so you're close.
Oh, I was so close.
Very
See, I
close.
know stuff.
Yeah. So if it was 360 degrees, they wouldn't have a neck bone. Therefore, they would not be
Right.
standing flying for us to this day. But that 270, it does look like they're doing a full 360 degrees. Now, a lot of people also think that owls are all nocturnal. They all fly at night time. That is not true either. So you can tell if an owl is a nocturnal owl or not. So if an owl has got black and brown eyes, it means it flies at night. If an owl has got orange eyes, it means it flies at dusk and dawn.
Yeah,
If an owl has
crepuscular.
got yellow eyes, it flies during the day.
Yellow eyes during the day.
Yeah.
So a great horned owl. What about a eastern barred owl? They have silver blue eyes.
The great horned, they're actually orange.
Are they? Okay. That doesn't fall under the gold umbrella? Okay.
You're thinking of the blue tinge because with their second eyelid, it comes along this way. It looks like a blue tinge, but it's sort of clear as well. That's what you're thinking of. It's obviously turned it, and you've noticed it with the blue tinge on it. That's not its eye. When that comes away, it's the orange eye behind that.
Okay.
So they've got two eyelids. They've got an eyelid that can close like that, and the one that comes proper down like the normal eye.
Isn't
I
that
want
something?
two eyelids.
Hey, and then look at reptiles. A lot of them have zero. So
Yeah, they have
it's
no
all
eyelids.
kinds of
That's
things.
crazy cool. Okay.
So your owls, they can see their prey up to half a mile away.
Yes.
Mhm.
Anything from here in, it's like a big blur. They can't see very well at all. Their eyesight is very, very poor when it's close in. Hence why you would think they would need glasses for close-up reading. Also with your owls, what else can I say? They swallow their food whole. Because they swallow their food whole, their beak doesn't grow. It stays the same size all their life. Whether with your hawks and falcons and eagles, their beak continues to grow because they've got to spread that food. So in the wild, these birds will use stones and rocks and boulders to trim that beak down. Where they're in captivity, they don't know how to do that, so we do it all for them.
Really? How
Trimming
so?
your dog's toenails. Just the same way as you trim your dog's toenails, same sort of clippers. We trim that beak. You have got to be careful because you have got a vein that comes down that beak, so you don't want to nick that vein. We then have to get a fine file and file it to a nice little point at the end as well.
Huh.
Now when you go out walks and you see there's owl pellets lying about,
Yeah.
now your owl pellets, they'll have the fur, the feather and the bone from the animal
Yes.
ate the day before. Your hawks and your falcon and your eagles, when they cough out their pellets, it's just the fur and the feather because they can digest that bone.
They digest the bone. Okay.
I remember that in grade school, we had to dissect owl pellets to study what they were eating. You know, of course, we wore gloves and stuff, you know, and a little paper mask. But, you know, that was something we did in grade school was break apart their dried poo and just to
Yes, if
study.
I gave one of the owls at the centre a mouse today, come tomorrow when it coughs out its pellet, I could take all that pellet apart, pull all the little mouse bones out, make a full mouse skeleton.
Isn't that
Owls
something?
can see their prey up to half a mile away. Your hawks, they can typically see their prey about a mile to a mile and a half.
Really?
This guy can see about a mile and a half to 2 mile away. Whether your peregrine falcon has got the best eyesight on the planet. Their eyesight, if I was to get a tennis ball and go like this with the tennis ball, a peregrine falcon would see that ball at 2.5 miles away.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, that eyesight is just out of this world.
Huh. Speaking of peregrine falcons and their body structure makes me wonder this. What about how are they related to kestrels and kites, which are to me, they're just smaller versions of a falcon. But are there any notable differences in that lineage?
Noticeable what a falcon is their wings will typically cross at the bottom. And typically their tails are quite short compared to your hawks.
Okay.
So with your kestrels, they're just classed as a falcon because of the species of bird it is. They're classed as a falcon because they dive on their prey. Whether your hawks, they fly along the ground. They'll follow prey. Your falcons typically stoop on their prey. So if you think of, say, your American red-tailed hawk, you know that your American red-tailed hawk isn't a hawk.
No, I didn't know that.
No, it's a buzzard.
Really?
Yes, the only difference is our buzzard here in the UK is a scavenger. Your American red-tailed hawk, which is a buzzard, is a hunter. And its typical prey item would be squirrels. But the Latin name for the American red-tailed hawk buzzard is boutique.
Yeah.
So it's actually a buzzard.
Wow.
I'll be damned.
And see, we think of turkey
Wow.
vultures, and we think of scavengers with the featherless head, that
Yeah.
you carry on. That's what I think of. That's interesting.
So yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and put this boy away. Give me a second. I will go and grab another bird out, and I will show you another bird.
Awesome.
You bet. Super cool. Wow. Really?
I had so
in-depth.
many questions.
Dude, I never would have. That's a lot of info on these birds. I thought I watched enough Discovery and Animal Planet. Not near enough.
Right? And mine's outdated. I'm misinformed. Oh, here's Super Bowl prediction right here, guys. This will make my childhood very happy. If we can pull this off this year, guys.
Oh yeah, it'd be good.
All my aches and pains since the '80s will be alleviated if I could get an AFC NFC matchup.
You need help.
Oh, here we go. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do.
Thank you for the gifts.
Let me see
What
here.
up, RC?
There we go.
Thank you for the
Whoa,
gifts.
Dex having a ball.
Whoa,
That
that's
dino
cool.
is awesome. Hats off to the dinosaurs, for the reptiles and the birds.
Harley is a female Harris's hawk. Now you'll find these guys in Northern and South America. Now it's the one species of bird of prey that actually lives and works as a pack. You've got a feather right there. Let me get it off. Yeah, let me get that feather off. Give me that thing. It's going to annoy me. It's going to annoy me. Yes. Right, bugger you. Okay, so you'll find these guys in North and South America, and they're the one species of bird of prey that actually works and lives as a pack. Now your males are the lackeys, your females are the boss. Just like when we get married, the wife becomes the boss. They are a third larger than your males. That goes with all species of birds of prey apart from your owls. Your owls are the only ones you cannot tell the sex by the size difference. Okay? So, in the wild, the males will do the flush work. The females will then fly in a line, with the main female being at the front of that line. She will go in for that kill. If she misses that kill, she will swiftly move to the side, and the next female comes in behind her. Hence why they've got such a high success rate.
Ha! Reminds me of lions, the matriarchy of lions.
Yeah, exactly.
A nice long black tail with some lovely white tips on the bottom. Her tail's a bit squint at some of the feathers just now because she has been hunting for the last 5 months. So she's been rolling about with rabbits and stuff on the ground. So they are going to damage feathers. And that's why we only fly them for 6 months of the year. So they can get
Really?
off to molt out all their old feathers and get all their new ones in so they can start the hunting season again. So our hunting season in the UK is pretty easy to remember. Every month with it's got an R in it, that is our hunting season in the UK.
January, February, March, April. And so
Stop.
then you got December, November, October,
September,
September, and then that's it. So April through August is off.
October, November, December, January, February, March, April. So basically 8, but we stop at end of January, February, March, end of March, February. Because of the climate change nowadays, a lot of animals are breeding a lot earlier. So we do stop a bit earlier.
All right. There's a good question. Is that looks like a rough leg? Is it a similar or different breed?
Pardon?
In the comments, someone asked, it looks like a rough leg. Is it similar or different breed?
No, different. So this is actually my son's hawk.
Okay.
So my son started falconing at a very young age of 4 years old.
What?
Now,
He's going to outpace the old man at that rate.
Yeah.
he came down the stairs on his first Christmas, and Santa decided to have one of these sitting underneath the Christmas tree waiting on him.
I wouldn't know what to do.
I remember his face like it was yesterday. He's now 13 years old. He started off with a male. The males are obviously a third smaller than your females. He then decided a few years later he wanted to get this girl, so he's had her for the last 5 years. Now this girl will take absolutely anything from squirrels to stoats to rabbits to hares, pheasants, ducks, partridge, geese. She is absolutely keen to take
Geese? That's a big prey.
Yes. And she flies at £2. She'll start the season off at £2 2 ounces, £2 3 ounces. Then as you're getting the bird fitter, you've got to bring that weight up as well. So she'll normally finish the hunting season about £2 8 ounces.
Huh.
Now this girl
That's a tight control. You've really got that dialed in. That's super interesting. It never occurred to me.
So this is the good thing with the Harris's hawk is they're not like the falcons. Even though these guys have not got good eyesight at night time, we can actually still hunt with these birds at night. So we go out with a high power lamp, and what the bird is looking for down that lamp is when the rabbit's eyes shine in the lamp. That's what they're looking for. When they see that, my birds have actually worked out that if they fly outside of the lampshade and then in the dark and fly along the side of the light and come in at last minute, when it gets that light at the rabbit, they normally get their kill.
Huh.
Now that is cool.
What would you say the success rate when they make an attack? Would you say it's 50%, 60, 100, 80%? Like what's rough abouts? What's the success rate?
When I'm out hunting with my birds.
Yeah.
When I'm out hunting with my birds, you're probably talking about 80 to 85% good success rate.
That's pretty daggum good.
Yeah.
Right?
But 9 times out of 10, your best flights are the ones that they don't catch. They're usually your best flights. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, everything that I hunt, I take it home, I eat it. If I don't eat it, my animals eat it. So nothing at all goes to waste, from the meat to the guts to the feathers or the fur. So the feathers and the fur we actually use for bedding for our ferrets during the winter, which keeps them nice and warm.
Really?
Nothing at all is wasted.
I like that.
So yeah,
I love that.
I like that.
And normally when you go out with these guys as well, you're only going to get a couple of kills. You know, you're not going out and just obliterating everything. You know, you're just going out getting a couple of kills. I always say to my kids, 9 times out of 10, as long as we come home at the end of the day with the birds and the ferrets and the dogs and ourselves, and we're all perfectly healthy, we've all had a good day out. If we come home with a kill, that is just an added bonus. That is all that is.
So when you go out and you also do this for hire, not just as your own, right? As your own hobby. So what's the goal? Is it to have a rabbit or duck to eat, or is it for taxidermy, or is it just for sport, or what's the end goal? Or the fur? Do you want to harvest the fur, the pelt?
Everything that we do kill, we feed to the animals and ourselves. But the more reason why I do the hunting side with the birds is because, I mean, this is a more natural way of hunting than what it is with a gun. Anyone can get a gun, pull a trigger and kill an animal. You know, it takes great time, effort, patience to put into that animal, to train these guys to hunt specific animals. And when you get your first kill with that animal, you're going to be buzzing. You know, you're never going to forget it. It's with you for the rest of your life.
Huh. That's awesome.
That's where I think, like, you know, you get back to the, you know, bow hunting. People hunt with bow and arrow, right? Yeah, I hunt. I use rifle, but you're right. It's not the same that, you know, exactly you take a bow and arrow and you get out there and track deer and you track your hunt. You got to be right. You got to sit and wait. Where I grew up hunting, you get up in a daggum deer scan, throw some lollipops out there in a tree, the deer come up and lick them. Boom, you're done. Yeah. That's not.
You've got to watch with the
I can't even hunt anymore because of that, right? I don't even hunt. It's like, I don't like this. I don't want to do this no more. I'd rather, like you, put in something that is
alive.
enjoyable. Yeah, and watch nature do what nature's supposed to do.
I mean,
Yeah.
she works with all my birds, work with my dogs and my ferrets. So we put the ferrets down the rabbit holes. The ferrets will flush the rabbits out the hole. The hawks then chase and catch them.
You have
Dude.
trained ferrets that don't run away from you outside, not on a leash, and then the bird of prey doesn't eat the ferret,
Yeah, a lot of people use ferrets.
and then your dog doesn't eat the ferret either.
Dude, it gets even better.
The birds and the ferrets.
See, where we would use dogs, to hunt rabbit and then to flush deer
Yeah.
out and things like that, where you're using a ferret.
What?
What? Step back.
How do you use a ferret?
Dogs as well. So we've got the.
I've never
we've
heard
got
of a
the
purposeful
Labradors, and
ferret.
we've also got the German pointer as well that we use
Yeah.
for flushing birds for the birds as well.
Your pointer, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
but the ferrets they flush all the rabbits and the rats and stuff like that.
Okay,
So how would you train a ferret? Okay, like I understand training
Yes.
dogs to hunt things like that.
So with ferrets, it's more natural instinct. It's in their blood. They are. I mean, obviously, ferrets have been diluted with their lines through being captive bred all through the years, but they've still got that wild instinct. And I always say to people, it's still a wild animal. At the end
Right,
of the day.
DNA is DNA.
That's it. Yeah. So what we do, it's more getting the birds used to the ferrets. That's the more key thing that we need to do, because these birds will sometimes attack the ferrets. Certain coloured ones, certain ones that they don't like the look of. These birds do get bored as well. So if the ferret's not flushing enough game for that bird, the bird's going to get bored. It's not got nothing to hunt. It's going to attack that ferret. So you have to really make sure that these birds have a good bond around the ferrets. So what we do when we perch these girls out in the garden during the day, every day, from morning till evening, we have them sitting in front of a ferret hutch where they can see these ferrets going back and forth. And then when they start going out with the ferrets, what we start to do is we put the ferrets down the hole, but we keep the birds in our hand. So the only time the bird comes off our hand and we let go is when they see a rabbit run out. They'll then associate the ferret to bolt on that rabbit. We can then let the bird sit in a tree after so long, and then when the ferret comes out, she'll notice not to go for that ferret. She'll know to leave it. The ferret will go back down, find the rabbits, flush them out, and she'll then take off after that rabbit.
Yeah, you're
the
teaching
bird
them that
knows to not-
association and that behavior. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
So the bird knows not to eat the ferret. After it chases the rabbit out of the hole, where does the ferret go? Does it come back and jump in your pocket?
I just pick it up and put it into the travel box.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just comes straight out to me.
It doesn't run off into the woods, never to be seen
No,
again?
not at all. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is a couple of times where I have lost ferrets, where they've been down holes and they've caught rabbits down the hole and they've not wanted to come back out. Old trick of the trade, block the holes up with lots of boulders and muck, seal it right up, come back next day morning, first light, the ferret will 9 times out of 10 be sitting at the hole waiting for you.
That is
This
crazy.
is incredible, dude. I had no idea.
Wow.
I'm old fashioned that way.
I love it.
That's the
I love
beauty.
it. No, this is I love it. This is the best. Everybody else that hunts out there, y'all don't know how to hunt, step your game up. If you want to come a real hunter.
We done a live last weekend where we had people watching us on the live while we were hunting with this girl and the ferrets. And I always say to people, as soon as I put the ferret down the hole, we have to sit there and be silent, because the rabbits, if they come out the hole and they see me standing there, they're going to run straight back down that hole.
Yeah, they go duck in.
Pass them down the hole, which we don't want. So I was standing there silent last week on the live with everyone. We had like 100 odd people in the live watching, and we're standing there and everyone's watching, and everyone just went silent. There wasn't even a single comment. And then they had one person out now and again. It was like, oh, I'm just waiting for it to break loose. And then next minute, the hawk, you just seen her taking off after the rabbits. And she took off and caught one rabbit on the live. And she also caught a squirrel on the live as well.
So you're over here, friend of the forest. All the animals are just listening to you and following your commands. What does the dog do, man?
My dogs flush the pheasants and partridges from the cover for the birds.
Okay.
So with my falcons, when I'm flying my falcons, they would typically be about 500 feet in the air or higher, just circling round.
Oh.
I would then get my German pointer or my Labradors to go around the cover. They'll look in the cover, they'll sniff the cover, they'll go on point, and they'll wait like a statue until I get into a position and I see my falcon get into a position. I'll then say to the dog, get in, and the dog will then go in and flush that bird. That bird will then fly out. As soon as I see it fly out, I shout, hoy! And you'll see the falcon just stooping down depending on what falcon if it was a falcon that I just had out, they can do 140 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If it's the peregrine falcon, they can do 240 miles an hour.
Okay, I
Oh
thought it
my
was 220.
gosh.
I thought it was 220. It's 240.
Fastest one recorded was a female at 244 miles an hour.
Dude, that's like an F1 e-racer car nowadays. I mean, that is boogieing.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched the program Top Gear?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Did you ever watch the video of the Bugatti racing the peregrine falcon?
I think so. It was the Bugatti
Peregrine
Veyron,
Falcon
the
wins.
first, right? It was before the Chiron, right? It was the Veyron? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the top speed on that was like 2.25. Yeah, I used to watch that a bunch.
So the thing with these guys as well is they're not like your seagulls and crows. You know, like your seagulls and crows and stuff like that. With their tails, they need to have breaks. Your seagulls and crows and stuff, they've got to fly every day. They've got to look for food source every day. They've got to fly in all weathers. Because birds of prey don't have to fly in all weathers, their brakes are very, very poor. So they don't have very good brakes on them at all. Okay? That tail is simply there just for their balance. That is mainly what that tail is there for.
Okay.
But you can see she's got a nice long black tail and white tips at the bottom. If this girl breaks a tail feather, we keep the good ones that she molts out. Because if she breaks tail feathers during the hunting season, I can then glue the old ones back in and make it look like a nice fresh new tail again, which helps her with that balance when she's flying.
You could glue them back
Glue
to the
them back
pin
in.
to the pin feather base to the pin,
So what
and
we
that'll
do is
continue the
original
aerodynamics.
the original feather that's already in, we would just cut it back so much, and then we would glue it into that existing feather using a little wooden stick, and it glues in. You do have to be careful. You're working with glue. You're working with lots of feathers around. You don't want to glue all these birds' feathers together. So
Right.
yes, it's a bit of a complicated process, but I can do it. It's a good thing to know.
Wow. It gets
Bro.
better every second. Every time you say something, it gets even better. Keep it
Someone
going.
was asking, when can you do one of these hunts? And someone was also suggesting we get to watch your hunt, but unfortunately, after tomorrow, we won't be able to watch TikTok Live in the U.S. anymore, at least for a while.
Are you guys on Facebook?
Facebook is really kind of a dead entity, honestly. Instagram, and we're taking our show to YouTube Thursdays at 6 p.m. Central, U.S.
You need to add my Facebook, which is Shaw's Exotic Animal Encounters.
Okay.
Obviously, message me on the Facebook. Let me know what your YouTubes are on the Facebook so I can keep in
Yeah,
touch.
I use it. I just don't have a lot of growth on there. I don't push it real hard, but I do have a personal and a business page on Facebook. So
I'll go and put this girl away, and I will go and get another bird out.
nice.
Okay?
So Dread, this is things I did not even fathom were on the table.
Dude, I wouldn't even imagined any of this. Like, this is crazy. I'm telling you, the more he tells us, the better it gets. Dude, I wish I could have me some birds. Nephew, get you some falcons in Texas. Figure it out.
Yes. Hey, thank you for the joining.
Get you some birds, bud. We got to hunt. Wow, this is exciting. And he's using ferrets.
Hats and must. They got the cowboy hat and mustache. on
Dude, and
Dread.
he's using ferrets to flush out the prey. That's even better.
What? I never thought that was a thing.
Dude.
Peregrine.
Peregrine falcon, otherwise known as a peregrine tiercel because it is a male. Now, your females we call the peregrines, the males we call tiercels.
Really?
Now, this is your fastest animal on the planet. They can do speeds of 240 miles an hour. Fastest one recorded, as I say, is 244 miles an hour. They can see their prey up to 2.5 miles away. So one of the best eyesight on your animals. But us as humans, we actually have a better eyesight than these guys.
Huh. Theirs is just focused for long range.
Yes, so us as humans, we can see they can see up their prey up to 2.5 miles, but we can see as far as the eye can see. So if you imagine you're looking away into the distance, you can still see the outlines of mountains. These guys can't see it until they get very close up compared to us.
When I see some other falconers, and I've seen this before, and tell me the gist of this. When they have the little leather helmet on, and it covers their eyes to
Yeah,
reduce the
that's
stimulus.
used to keep the birds nice and calm.
That doesn't freak them out, huh?
No, so you typically train the birds to get used to them when they're young.
Okay.
So when they're fully grown, they're 13 weeks old. They're fully grown, they're fully feathered. So once they're fully grown and fully feathered, we will then buy them a hood, and what we'll do is we'll just sit that hood over their head, just like that. And then we'll take it off, set it back over the head. Take it off, put it back. And then after that, we'll put it back on. We'll then get the straps, tighten the straps, and leave it on for a minute. We'll then take it back off. We then sit and rub the bird's chest with that hood so it knows it's not a threat. It's not doing no harm to you. And the reason why we do that is because most people, when they travel with their falcons, they travel with them on something called a cadge. Now, a cadge is basically just two little perches side by side with a handle in the middle that they can walk with the two falcons tied to the cadge, and they've got their hoods on. They're not going to go anywhere. Whether with this guy, when I'm out travelling with him, most of the time, I've normally got one of my XL American bullies sitting in the passenger seat, and this boy's normally sitting on the headrest above her head. So
Wow.
this guy, his favourite best friend here at Shaw's Exotics is my golden Labrador. He adores my golden lab. Because he's been hand raised here at Shaw's Exotics, and he is only a year and a half old as well.
Okay.
He was raised around all my dogs. I've got 8 dogs, he's raised around them all. But the golden Labrador, every time he sees her when he goes in the house, he'll go and jump on her back and go to sleep.
That is awesome.
Gemini, I did show King Arthur. I might bring him all out for a minute before we finish up, but yeah, I have showed King Arthur.
That's incredible. So your food source there at the house. Now, I guess in my mind, and I've learned so much already in a half hour. I was thinking because I know you keep reptiles. You've got some really interesting ones as well. So you breed your own rats or mice there.
No, we've got 2 rats, which are actually my son's pets.
Okay.
So we don't breed the rats. We have got mice, but they're fancy mice. They're like merle coloured mice and stuff. They're pets. So yeah.
So I was wondering if the birds of prey and your reptiles, if you were generating a food source there in the house, like under your own, you know what I mean, so to speak. Like,
Yeah.
how do you provide food year round for them, or do they strictly rely on the hunting, or what about the summer
Typically,
months?
I buy in my rats, my mice, my quail, and my day-old chicks. We buy them in frozen. But everything else I hunt. And what I'll do is I'll chop it up through the hunting season so they've got so much per day and it lasts them through the summertime as well. So come winter time, I say to a lot of people, I eat like a fucking king.
Yeah.
Like, no doubt about it. I eat the best of meat. Sorry if there's any vegans or vegetarians, but it's true.
No, we're right. We say the same thing. Meat, eat meat.
Yeah.
Beef, bird, whatever it is. If it's meat, eat it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people that are involved in reptiles or exotic pets in general, or maybe a little, even if they don't have their own dietary, decisions or personal choices. I feel like if you're into these kind of animals, you respect and encourage whatever the natural food source is. So just because if let's say I'm a vegan and I won't eat a rabbit, doesn't mean I don't see the value in a bird of prey eating it. I feel like.
Like I had clients out flying one of our big Turkmenian eagle owls at the Falconer Centre about 10 weeks ago. And this big Turkmenian eagle owl, he's got a 5-foot wingspan. He flies at 4 pounds 13 ounces. He is a big boy. He's got the same grip on his feet as a Rottweiler bite. So he's a very powerful bird. Now, when I was flying him with clients that day, he was flying from one of the client's arms back down to his perch. As he decided to start flying to his perch, a young rabbit decided to play chicken. That rabbit came running out the wood, came running straight towards us, right in the bird's flight path, and the bird thought, you know what, I'm not at my hunting weight, but you're an easy target. And he took that rabbit in front of all my clients. Luckily enough, all the clients seen the natural side of things. We did have to dispatch the rabbit because of the grip of his feet. It would have injured the rabbit anyway, so we don't want to release it when it's injured. So we quickly and immediately dispatched that rabbit. But at the end, when I was going to give it to the birds at the centre the next game day, it turned out the rabbit had a big cyst on its back. So they say, if in doubt, throw it out. So instead of throwing it out, me having ferrets, they're pretty immune to a lot of diseases. ferrets can eat these rabbits. So therefore that rabbit went straight to the ferrets. It didn't go to waste.
And you had some happy ferrets.
Happy ferrets. Yes.
When you're getting these rabbits, what are some signs that it might not be up to snuff for eating, that it might be have an illness or something? What do you look for?
Most of the time you're looking at their liver and their kidneys. That's most of your telltale signs. Like, especially with birds, if you see birds that have got like what looks like wheat all over their chest, you don't eat them. You know, that's a disease. You don't want to eat them. Your rabbits that typically carry myxomatosis, that basically covers their eyes, you can still eat them rabbits. There's no harm to humans for eating a rabbit with myxomatosis. No harm has ever been given to a human from that. The only thing that myxomatosis affects on a rabbit is the eyes. It actually only affects the rabbit for 6 to 8 weeks. Then it can actually get rid of that myxomatosis as long as it survives that long before predators get to it and has enough food source.
That's super, super cool. So you've really got to have your feet into the earth, so to speak. I mean, this whole program that you do isn't just, oh, I got these pretty birds, look at them for the likes. Like you're at a ground level, from what sprouts from the ground, what comes out of the ground as an animal, to what goes into your own animal, your own feet.
I inspect the liver, the kidneys, the meat of all the animals that we hunt. I also inspect what they have been eating, so I know what these animals have been fed on recently. So I check all of them over, but everything, as I say, nothing at all is wasted that we use. We use absolutely everything. Now, my son and I, we can go out hunting for a day with the hawks, catch a rabbit, go into the farmer's field, pull a couple of tatties, go into his back garden, pull a couple of carrots. There's a dinner, sorted. You know, free meal.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
It always tastes better when it's free. But even though, like on the TikTok, like as you were saying, you know, a lot of people do get animals just to look cool. You know, I've got this animal, I am cool, I want all your followers. Now, we do a lot of TikTok lives, and a lot of people that come on my lives, they will tell you, we do not ask for gifts. We only ever ask for people to like, follow, and share our profile. We want to get out as much as we can so we can promote falconry, but educate people on getting themselves a mentor here in the UK rather than just jumping the gun and getting a bird. Because too many people who get these animals, they don't know what they're doing, and it's the birds that are the ones that then suffer from it.
All right, everybody, you heard them. Send all the galaxies and superpowers and lions all to Barry right now. Get that giant galaxy on that screen for Barry. I love this, man. I love this. This is awesome.
Thank you, man. Yeah, we do just to educate as much as we can. That's our aim of the game.
What's the weight on your peregrine?
This guy, he flies at 1 pound 4 ounces to begins with. He finishes his weight at 1 pound 6 ounces. Today, I reckon he's probably sitting about 1718.
Okay.
I would need to put him on the scales. I've got balance scales outside the house that I put them on to weigh them. So he's starting flying hopefully Monday.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
We'll get him back out flying. Hopefully get a few pigeons with him before we finish up, because we had quite a bad season this year. You know the female Harris's hawk that I just had out before him? Well, yep. I've got her auntie as well. Her auntie's 25 years old. Oh, now I still hunt with her auntie 6 months of the year. She's still going strong. But about 2.5 months ago, I was out hunting with her auntie, lamping with the hawk, and sadly she got grabbed by a fox. And that fox pulled her down the field, halfway down the field, before it decided to let her go because I was chasing it. And when it let her go, obviously she had went into shock a little bit. She didn't want to fly anything, so we kept her off and got her checked over with the vets. We'd done a few weeks of just rest and letting her have some good food. And we then started bringing her weight back down. I got her back out flying after she got the all clear. She flew one day with her niece that was just out just before him. And then after that, I didn't fly her for a few weeks, and I've just got her flying yesterday again. So she's been flying yesterday and today at the Glove very well. So she's going to be hunting again come Monday, Tuesday. She's going to be back out lamping again.
That's awesome. I'm glad that fox didn't take her out. I wouldn't have suspected you'd have this.
I'll tell you what, I've never ran so fast in my life. You know, my partner and my kid was sitting, well, they were standing at the side of the field, at the fence line, because they see me climb over the fence, walk into the field, and they decided just to wait there. And they know that you've always got to be silent when you're out hunting at night with these birds on the lamp. And as soon as they heard me screaming, they knew something was up. They jumped the fence, they came running down while I'm chasing this fox. And I pretty much, without a word of a lie, I was near a double arm's length to grabbing this fox's tail when it had a hold of my bird. But
I'll be back. I got to go do something. I got to jump off. Like,
Okay.
so yeah.
Yeah, I could only imagine the defense mechanism, like kind of like like a dad looking after their kid. You go into that superpower mode.
Yes.
You
Yes,
just
100%.
instantly jump to do whatever you got to do.
Yeah, 100%. Like, she's that Harris's Hawk Morgan. She's my pride and joy out of all of my birds. She is my pride and joy. I've had her the longest. She was the cheapest bird I've ever bought, but I've had her the longest, and she is the most brilliant hunter you could have. I used to go and meet with friends with all their Harris's Hawks because you could hunt them as a pack. So we used to all meet up with our Harris's Hawks, and when we would get our birds out of the car, most of my friends would normally just put their hawks back in the car when they see Morgan coming out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, well, there's no point. Morgan's here. She's going to catch everything anyway. And I'm like, well, true. So, yeah, I mean, she's, even to this day, 25 years old, and she is still an amazing hunting bird.
25 and still hunting that good, huh? That's incredible. I didn't realize they would be still have that much vitality at that age.
So we've got we've got an eagle at the falconer centre that I work at. Now, captive lifespan for that eagle is 35 years.
Wow.
That eagle just turned 50 in September.
You say 50? Holy cow.
And she's still going well. She can fly. She just chooses not to. She's got arthritis in a couple of her toes on one of her feet. But she's still a fantastic bird. She just wants to sit on her perch every day, making lots of noise, letting everyone know she's about. But no, she's an absolutely amazing bird. She's a tawny eagle. She's an African species, which is also a scavenger species as well. And she weighs in roughly about 7 pounds in weight with a 5-foot wingspan.
7 pounds?
Yes. The heaviest bird we've got in the centre is 12.5 pounds.
What species is that?
That is the big female Russian steppe eagle.
Okay.
She is a monster. Now, we get a lot of big guys that come to the falconer centre during the winter and they want to hold the biggest bird we've got, which is the big Russian steppe eagle at 12.5 pounds. I give them all 20 seconds. They do not last any longer. Their back normally goes back like this. Their arm starts to shake like this and it starts going down nice and slow and their face goes all red. They don't last long at all.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen bald eagles up very close in zoo settings and even a little bit in the wild. In a whale watching tour north of Seattle into Canadian waters.
Oh.
And they're quite large, but the Russian steppe eagle is bigger, isn't it?
The Russian steppe eagle is not bigger, no.
No, okay. Bald eagles are huge in
About the
person.
same size.
They are huge. It is, I mean, it's like I'm 5'10", and that thing comes up when they're sitting on the ground. It's above my waist.
The bald eagle females can actually reach up to like 14 pounds, if I'm correct.
Wow.
So they're a bit bigger in weight-wise than what it comes to the steppe eagles.
Huh.
But your steppe eagle is what we call the bulldog of the falconry world. You know, if you look at a steppe eagle head on, it's got that U shape when it's standing. You know, they've got that U shape like your bulldogs. Whether your golden eagles and your American bald eagles, their legs are more straight, so they don't have that U shape. So that's why we call them the bulldog of the falconry world. So what I'll do is I'm going to put this boy away. I'm going to grab King Arthur. A couple of people have asked to see King Arthur.
Oh yes, crowd favorite.
He's a massive hit with absolutely everyone. So give me a second. I'll go and put him away, and I'll go and grab King Arthur. Okay.
Sounds good. Awesome, man. This is so Mystic D. I'm sorry. This is our usual show. We only have the guest that is our featured guest for the week on Naughty Business. So we know, on here on TikTok, despite what's happening in the U.S., historically we've always had some hangouts. But, this is just about our guest. And so I don't mean to leave you out. But this is something we try to organize and keep pretty scheduled. If anybody, I can't type just freely. I can respond to people in the comments. If any moderators could help me out just in the comments every so often, would you let everyone know we're going to YouTube Thursdays at 6 p.m. Central. So Naughty Business, same guest lineup, Same promos, same vibe, the whole thing. We're going to be YouTube Thursdays at 6 Central. So if you guys can help me pop that into the comments ongoing, since today is going to be our last day on TikTok. So we're moving up, and I really appreciate it if you guys could put up a banner. Like I don't, you want me to write one out real quick, Tech? I'm just on my phone. I don't have TikTok Studio on my computer. I mean, it's on my computer, but I'm not on Studio at the moment. Yes, I'm so sorry, Mystic D. I said I didn't want to be rude. We have a guest each week. This is our 24th weekly show and our 28th show overall, including Mills on Saturdays out of London. So 6 Central, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern, Rich, on Thursdays, and that will be on YouTube. So if you subscribe to Strictly Business, you'll find me everywhere. Instagram, YouTube is the best way to keep up on all this stuff. Instagram for the promos and who's coming up, as opposed to being here on TikTok like we were, as far as getting a heads up on it. And then our show is going to be on YouTube itself. So thank you so much, Mystic D. That's going to be awesome. Yeah, I can't. I can't wait. We've got a lot of support and a lot of cool people are really been very kind and sharing our promos and our stories to help get the word out. And even when I'm in comments on some of the podcasts and stuff I frequent on YouTube, a lot of those people are taking a moment to mention, hey, Strictly Business and Dreadnought, they're doing something really cool. Be sure to check them out. So we've had a lot of cross promotion that we didn't even solicit or ask for. So really, really cool. Very humbled that people have been so kind and welcome us into the fold. So it's sink or swim time for us. I really think we came here on TikTok and accomplished what we were wanting to do. I'm going to be on 4 separate podcasts as a guest between now and the end of March. So I've been asked to be a guest on all kinds of different shows coming up and talk about what we're doing. And then I've also been asked by a Bash Coder to be on a symposium panel, kind of to figure out more about other podcasters that aren't reptile related and how we can get more people into the hobby, because our show has kind of always helped nurture hobbyists and people that are new. So we want to keep that vibe going. And so I'm going to go on with Craig in April to do as a panel speaker, ironically enough, and talk about how we continue to get people to come into the hobby and not just talk over their head with genetics. So keep an eye out for a lot of good stuff coming down.
What's that?
Oh, thank you, Joseph Lars. That's awesome. Oh, man.
Yes, King Arthur.
Dude, you're the best.
Yeah, everybody loves King Arthur. Thank you for the gifts, folks. We do highly appreciate
My boy. It's his hawk.
So yeah, that's my birds. This is what I love, this fluffy bit. Oh, he's just a beautiful boy.
There's Ro.
So you have other reptiles too. My nephew's scrolling through, and I think you noticed on your page you have some red-eye crocodile skinks.
Yes, I do indeed.
So tell us about those a little bit, right? Again, we don't know anything, so
we've only had them quite recently. Now, they're not like other species. These guys are pretty hard for their care. And they're not the easiest species to care. At first, they started playing dead a lot when we got them. So they would just sit on your hand, not move, do nothing. But one of them, she's come out her shell fantastically. She runs about my hands and everything now. Where the other one, she still sits like a statue, like she's dead. We are looking to hopefully get the white-eyed croc skinks as well. But I'm looking to get a male for these females first. I do want to try and breed these.
Yeah, Rich in the comments.
Yeah, Rich has croc skinks.
Yes, he's got the ones I want.
Oh, Rich, so he does. Okay. Well, Rich turned us on to you, I think.
Right?
Yeah, okay. Well, super cool.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the red-eyed croc skinks, we've got the frilled dragon, we've got the green-bellied lizard, we've got the Madagascan giant day geckos, we've got the crested geckos, the gargoyle geckos, the black and white tegu, the spiny tail iguana, and we also have an Asian water monitor as well.
Oh, wow.
Super awesome.
So, yeah, and then snake-wise, we have got the false water cobras, the carpet pythons, the reticulated pythons, the green tree python, the corn snake, the king snakes, the bull snakes, the stinking goddess, which is a king rat snake, the boa constrictor as well.
I didn't know you
good
had a
collection.
chondro.
Yeah.
So my favourite snake that I've got is Big Pandora, my 21-foot reticulated python.
21?
Yeah, she's a
Okay,
massive
so how long
girl.
have you had her, like from little to?
No, I got her as a rescue. Now, the guy that originally had her, oh yeah, we've got false water cobras as well. I thought I'd already said that.
Yeah, Fossies I love Fossies.
The guy that originally had her, he had a male as well. Now, the male was a pied retic. This girl, she's a white-faced albino. Now, when I got her, she was only about 15 foot, so she's grown a lot since. But when I went to the guy's house, he was petrified of them. The 8-foot pied retic had grabbed his arm, ripped his whole arm down. You know, he had to get rushed to hospital, so he got a scare from them, so he didn't want to go near them again. So he had basically left them for quite some time without good care. And I said I would go up and take them out off his hands, find them good homes. And I decided I fell in love with the big girl, decided to keep her. And she is my biggest hit when I go and do kids' parties. So I do kids' parties with the reptiles as well.
Okay.
So when I go do the kids' parties, she comes out last at the end of the party because we get all the kids to line up on a line and they all put their arms out like this and she just gets put along with kids and they love her because of her sheer size. Now she gets fed lambs and foxes. So she'll get one lamb or one fox once a month.
Once a month? That's pretty frequent for a prey that size. That's a big girl.
Yeah. The thing is with your retics as well, you've got to remember they're not like your Burmese pythons, your anacondas and stuff. Your Burmeses and your anacondas and your African rock pythons, you know, they're a fat snake, you know, they're quite chunky.
You're right. They're a thicker bodied snake.
Yeah, whether your retics, they've got to be lean. They're not a fat species.
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
to be nice and lean. You watch that J prehistoric reptiles, moron.
Fat. They're fat.
Fattens these snakes up just so he can get sheer size out of them. That's all he does it for, is to get all the likes and all the followers and all the size of his snakes. He does it just so he can try and get the biggest snakes you can get. And he's not doing nothing good for these snakes' health.
That's like doing what you're doing, and same way with what we're trying to do. Let's clear up a lot of this misinformation. And why get your snakes looking like that when that's really not how they are in the wild?
It's the exact same when you look at, say, you look at all your venomous snake handlers, right? You see them doing TikToks, you see them doing Facebook videos, you see them putting YouTube videos up, live videos of them handling these venomous snakes, these deadly venomous snakes, with no equipment whatsoever, bare hand handling these reptiles. Now, do you think that's a good thing in your eyes?
No.
I personally think that what they're doing is they're promoting reptile keeping for venomous snakes in a bad way.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Promote it in the right way, where you're using proper gloves, you're using a hook, stuff like that. You know, these people, they've been bitten by their snakes. You know, they've almost died. They've lost their fingers and stuff. I can name a few of them. You know, I follow these people and watch them regular thinking, idiot, moron, spastic, hate these people. Yep. There is one man out of the whole people that I follow that has venomous snakes that I actually, honestly, put my hat off to this guy. He is one of the best. He does everything by the book. And it's just amazing to see that he actually promotes it the right way, whether all the rest of them don't. And that's what I do with the falconry, is try and promote it the right way. Just like I do with the reptiles and stuff as well.
Yeah, that's exactly what we want to promote and do, right? Do this the right way, safety for you and the animal. It's right. It's a 360. 100%. It's
It might look cool that you're holding a snake with your bare hands, but that snake turns around and bites you, and that's a cobra or a rattlesnake or something like that, or worse yet, a black mamba. You're gone.
And feed your animals the proper diet and try to maintain the proper weight. You know, so they're not. Yeah, we advocate for all different, right? We want to find middle ground with everywhere, right? There's no wrong way.
So you find a lot of people that keep reptiles for existence. You think a lot of people, they'll feed them on the same diet all the time. So it's always going to be rats. It's always going to be mice. You know, think out the book. You're feeding these things the same mice, rats. You know, think of day-old chicks. Think of hamsters. Think of all these other animals. You can feed these animals as a varied diet. So with my big girl Pandora, the 21-foot retic, she'll get a lamb, say, once. That'll last her for a month. After that month, when she's due her next feed, I'll probably give her, say, 2 rabbits or 3 rabbits. That'll last her 2 to 3 weeks. And then after that, I'll maybe say to myself, you know what, I'll give you a fox this time. So I'll give her that fox, that's going to last her a month. And then the next time I'll maybe go, you know what, I'm going to give you a hare. That's going to last you about 2 or 3 weeks. Perfect. And then I'll maybe go, you know what, let's give you a cockerel. That'll last you a week. You know, you're giving them a varied diet.
Yeah, vary it up like they're going to do in their right.
You're varying that feed, so it's not every month, it's not every week. You're changing it because of what the size of the animal is you're feeding that animal.
Huh.
You're on point, man. Shaw, you're the real deal, brother. The real deal, no doubt.
Do my best. I do try.
Yeah, for real. Like,
yeah, a lot of people will tell you I do have a lot of knowledge when it comes to animals and their care and stuff like that. You know,
yeah.
Take great respect in it. You know, it's something I work with all my animals. I always let people come to my house and come in my house and see all my animals and where they live. You know, I have nothing to hide here, so all my animals are in the best of conditions, are in the best of care.
I think that comes across on your lives. I've been watching yours for it's been probably at least 3 months now.
Yeah.
The holidays is kind of like that. Just that whole thing takes a month away. So it's been at least 3 months, if not 4, that I've been watching your lives. And I definitely think that comes across as you're approachable. You like to educate. You have endless patience for sometimes even the repetitive questions. Oh, thanks, Socially. Look at that. That's awesome. What a gift. You always take so much patience with all the beginner questions, and people are like, you know, they wear you out. Oh, is that a lab?
I will always tell people, whether you think it's a silly question or not, ask me. You're never going to know the answers unless you ask. And I won't take offense if it's a silly question.
That's what we tell them too. Ask the question.
One way or another. You know, there's always 2 ways of doing things. You know, no one's ever a professional. You're always going to learn something new every day. Thank you very much for the gift, Social. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, you're right. Ask the questions, right? Keep it coming. The same with us, you know. And again, if we don't know it, we're going to reach out to someone like you, someone like anybody we've had, and we're going to get you the answer.
Yeah. If I don't know, I'll tell you if someone that does know.
That's so awesome, Socially.
Like down where I live, I get called the
Birdman
or the dog whisperer. That's what my locals call me, the Birdman or the dog whisperer.
Yeah, there you are. There you are.
The street, normally I've got 8 dogs walking to a heel behind my legs, and I've normally got a hawk or a falcon in my hand, and I'm just walking along, just doing my own little thing.
I love it.
So, yeah. I mean, see when I'm out a walk with these dogs, and I'll go up to the farm, and I'll let all of my dogs out the car, and I'll take my 2 Harris's hawks with me, and I'll let the 2 Harris's hawks out the car, and the dogs will just follow me wherever I go. The hawks will follow me from tree to tree wherever I walk. So if I walk through a field, they'll land next to me and the dogs, and then people walk past with their dogs, and they're like, that guy's got 8 dogs and 2 birds of prey standing right beside these dogs. And they just don't understand. Then I'll go, right, come on, girls. And then I'll shout the birds and go right up, and then the birds will just fly up into the nearest tree.
Say what about the harpy eagle? You know, they eat monkeys in South America. Those things are like 20-something pounds. Those things are like amazing.
One of the biggest species of eagles that you can get.
They're amazing.
Absolute monsters. Them. I actually watched a video the other day of one taking a gazelle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're something else, dude. They take ibex off the Andes and stuff.
Oh yeah, I've seen those do that off the Andes. Yeah, wow, that's a big bird.
Your golden eagles are up there as well. I mean, you think of your Mongolians. Your Mongolians hunt wolves with golden eagles.
Right.
Wow.
You know, and they do it on horseback. Now, that is the traditional way of hunting with birds of prey, is doing it on horseback. That's the traditional way. So you think, I've got a glove on my left hand with my bird on my left hand. That's not because I'm left-handed. That is because the traditional falconry is doing it with your left hand, because it used to be done on horseback. So you'd have your hawk or your falcon on your left hand, and you would have your horse's reins on your right.
You got your reins in your, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And then back hundreds of years ago, it was just princes and kings and queens that actually hunted with birds of prey. We were the ones that just trained them up. We never got that enjoyment to actually hunt with these birds.
Huh.
So yeah.
Give me 1 sec. I gotta check on my daughter. Dredd, hold it down for a sec, bro.
Dude, this is awesome. Right, guys? How much are all of us learning today?
Thank you for the gift.
Shaw, this is so crazy cool, brother.
Much.
Yeah. Wow.
Social Sydney.
So yeah, she's lighting it up right now. She was busy
Yeah,
doing some stuff. Come in to join us. We appreciate you socially. Thank you for all that. Wow.
really appreciate the guest. Much appreciated. Now, if you actually look at this guy, you can see he's actually got some love heart shapes on his wings.
I just love the looks. I'm like for real. Like they're just so beautiful. And you're taking them out like that. I mean, you guys are going on the daily almost.
Yes.
Wow.
This boy comes to work with me every single day at the Falconer Centre.
So how about okay, so what about in the rain? I mean, if the weather's too bad, I mean, I know you pay attention to that, but if it's a little bit rainy, how does that affect them, or
Good
drizzly?
question. Good question. Now, your owls. Do you know what makes an owl so silent?
Their feathers are they're hollow.
They don't have any waterproof coating. Whether with your falcons and your hawks and your eagles, they've got a certain amount of waterproof coating on them. So they've got a gland at the top of their tail, and what they'll do is they'll cream themselves, put it all over their feathers with that oil coating. That helps with the rain, so it makes them so much waterproof. The more they're out in the rain, the more waterproofing they become as well. Where your owls only get 2 to 5 minutes in the rain before they're wet and they cannot fly because they don't.
Oh, they don't have the same oil at the base of their pin feathers, huh?
Owls
Yeah,
don't have
okay, that makes sense with the oils. Okay.
So we can fly these guys for say about an hour to 2 hours in the rain before they're too wet to fly.
Nephew, he can catch a rabbit by itself, but why do that when you can use a ferret to flush it out?
Yeah, King Arthur's going to be used for hunting pheasants, ducks, and partridges.
Okay.
Using something like this for rabbits when it already does 140 miles an hour. What would be the point in that?
Yeah, and see, that's why I've been trying. I've been doing bow hunting for ducks for a few years, and I haven't got one yet, but I keep trying.
But if we had him, we'd get one.
Man, that's gorgeous.
Yeah,
So-
I love
so
it. I
sweet.
love it. But you're right. Why would you want to use him? Why would you want to risk that? He can fly so fast going to the ground, like you were saying, because they don't have brakes.
Yeah, I mean, peregrine falcons, that's why they typically...
Yeah, there's no brakes.
Well, mostly hunt birds in the sky because you think of a peregrine falcon, it does 240 miles an hour on the stoop, and that comes down and hits a rabbit in the head at 240 miles an hour. Yes, it's going to kill that rabbit, but is it going to have that momentum to get back up before it hits the ground?
Yes, he's going to...
So,
Right.
yes, because this guy does 140 plus miles an hour on the stoop, I would rather use him for hunting harder prey, which is your birds.
Out of the air, so he doesn't have to worry about hitting the
ground.
ground. I didn't think of that.
Your hawks, they can typically only do about 30, 35 miles an hour, so they fly in a straight low on the ground. So therefore, they're much better for hunting land game.
It's like an open ice check in hockey or up against the board.
Dude,
which one's gonna hurt
think
more?
about it. And think about it. They're already waterproof, okay? They're already waterproof.
Yeah.
So you got the ultimate...
Ultimate killing machine.
That's the ultimate machine right there.
Huh?
He is just the best bird ever. Now, see when I put at this point, I love this.
I want one right now.
Look at that. That is just the most beautifulest thing ever when he fluffs up all the feathers.
Nephew buys 3 or 4 of those. Send me a couple out here to Cali. You have a couple over there.
So this guy here, every day, if I put him in his enclosure, out the back, if I get a tennis ball and I roll a tennis ball in his enclosure, he'll run over and he'll grab the tennis ball with his foot and he'll hop back to me with that tennis ball like you're playing fetch with your dogs.
Dude, I need that sucker
Really?
so my poodle can try to chase him and then he can chase my poodle.
Yeah. Even every morning when I take him to work, he goes onto the perch next to the other birds at work, and then what he'll do is when I put him onto his perch, he'll sit with his foot up like this. And I've got to put my hand underneath his foot. He'll then put his foot onto my hand, and I've got to massage his toes for 5 minutes. So he's a spoiled little boy. Gets everything he wants every single day.
Okay, so since you're talking about spoiling them, this gets into just animal keeping, period. Does some of your birds have a ritual you do with them before you send them to hunt? Maybe like that, rub them or let them know, hey, little buddy,
No, every time we take them out to go hunting, the only thing that we do regular that the birds know what's going to happen before they go out is when we change their equipment over. So, like right now, he's wearing a set of jesses. Now, these are what we call jesses. Now, what he's got around his legs are what we call anklets. Now, your anklets are around the legs, so we can then attach the jesses to the anklets. Okay? The jesses then attach to a swivel, That swivel then attaches to a leash. So we can then hold that bird, we can put it around our glove, wrapping it around, and we can then tie it to the little hook that's on your glove here so the bird can't go anywhere. When you're flying these birds, we then have to take these jesses off. Now these jesses are called the muse jesses. They've got a slit down the end to attach that swivel. So there's a good chance they can get tangled up in a tree. So you have to make sure you take them off. Then we replace them with just straight bits of leather or straight bits of rope, which we call the flying jesses, because they don't have that slit, they're not going to get tangled up in the tree branches.
Ah.
And then we also attach a little bell onto the birds. Like some of the birds will attach a bell onto the anklet. Some birds will attach the bell onto the back of the tail here. Or some birds, people will attach the bell onto the front of the chest. Now, with the Harris's hawk that you seen now earlier, that's the one bird that communicates by wagging its tail. So with my Harris's hawks, I much prefer putting the bell on their tail, because if they're in a tree and I've got their bell on their foot, I've got to wait for them to move that foot. Whether if they're in a tree and I've got the bell on their tail, I just need to call their name. They're going to wag that tail like a dog. I'm then going to know exactly where that bird is. So yeah, and then we also fit them with tracking systems when they're hunting as well. So our birds can obviously chase birds and other animals for a few miles.
Yeah, I
So
was going to ask that one eventually.
yeah.
How would you track them if they got
We
off
fit them
course
with a
from you?
tracking system, and just like the bell, the tracking system can go here, it can go on the tail, or it can go between the wings at the top of the back.
A real life air tag.
Yes,
Yeah,
a real,
and you can
yes.
find the bird up to a 25-mile radius, depending on what species, what type
sick.
of telemetry we're using. Now, some telemetry systems, like the newest telemetry you've got now, which is the GPS system, which costs about £1,500 to buy. Now, you get that. You can then get an app that goes to your iPhone. That will then tell you, or it will show you on a map where your bird is all flown on that map. It will also tell you the speed your bird's flown at, the height your bird's flown at, all the stoops your bird.
Well, don't the
does,
pigeons, the
all
pigeon racers will do that, use that type of stuff, won't they?
No,
Or is that too heavy for
pigeon
them?
racers don't use anything. They just put.
They just
have
let 'em
wings
go.
on their bird's feet and that's it.
Okay.
That's
Well, I just
it.
figured with technology, you'd just be using it,
You
you know.
would think that. Like a lot of people that keep parrots and stuff, that free fly parrots. Like I've got a friend who just got a macaw and she was saying that she wants to free fly it. And I recommended to her, I says, look, get a GPS tracker, fit it to your parrot's leg. You're never going to lose it. And she's like, I've never ever thought of that. I was like, because most people that have parrots don't know about the trackers because it's only used in falconry. But
Okay.
it's not going to make any difference using it with your parrot. So get yourself a tracker, fit it with that tracker, you'll never lose it.
Is there a way, what about fashioning like a mini camera of some sort?
I have seen people doing it.
Have you?
I've seen people doing it with Harris's hawks where they've put a hood on the bird's head, but they've cut the eyelid bits off so the bird can still see. And they've had a camera fitted on the top. So I am looking into doing something like that with
Oh.
find the right small size camera to do it.
Dude, that'll put your content through the
Oh
roof.
yeah,
It'll
right,
become-
yeah. That
Talk
right
about
because of the
viral, man. You could
technology
put
and
that-
as light and as small as everything is, and
Uh-huh.
you could, you know, you've worked with these birds for a long time. You would know how it would probably need to be set
Dude,
up.
a point of
safely.
view with them. Oh my god, that
Dude.
would be amazing.
Hey, and watching that come down at 140 to get something out of the air live.
Yep. And just seeing the puffy feathers.
Yeah.
So here's one for you, right? Now your birds of prey, they typically need certain talons while they're holding on to their prey.
Yeah.
So they need the big talon on the back toe, and they also need the big talon on the inside toe. Now if they lose either one of these two talons, they cannot hold that prey item.
Huh?
Therefore, they would not be able to hold that prey. Now I know a falconer 4 or 5 years ago who had a golden eagle, lost its back talon and its back toe. That bird, eagle then spent a whole year doing nothing because he couldn't hunt anymore. After that year, something clicked in the falconer's head. He went and bought himself a 3D machine. He made himself a 3D talon, a 3D toe. He strapped it to his golden eagle's foot, and that bird has now successfully been hunting for the last 2 to 3 years with a fake toe and talon.
A 3D printer, guys.
Using 3D and stuff like that. You know, all the technology, as you say nowadays, the amount of technology we've got, it is unreal. Like if you think of people in, say, Pakistan, right? That's a real tradition over there doing falconry as well.
Yes.
Right? And over there, they don't use hoods, most of them. Most of them won't put hoods on their birds. They do it in a bit of a cruel way. What they do is they sew the bird's eyes closed, the eyelids. And then what they do is they have the bird strapped down like this, so its wings are pinned and its legs are pinned. They will then lie these birds on the middle of tables in the middle of the busiest roads they can find. They will keep the birds lying there for about 5 to 6 days. After about 3 to 4 days, they will start to take one stitch off each eye each day. So it's just slowly open that eye slightly every day. They will then, after that, have that bird manned. But
That sounds
they
terrible.
do it by stitching the eyes when you could go and buy a hood for, say, £5 to £10. What would you rather choose? I would rather choose buying a hood.
I don't want to. I don't want to do that. That's
Yes.
See,
But there's still people. But as I say,
that's old. But
because
see,
in
that's
that
old
country, there's
traditional.
still
That's
people
old
that
traditional
traditionally do
ways
that.
that they're practicing versus new ways, right? They're keeping that. Yeah, when we could do your way, which is
Yeah.
safer and easier and less harm, and yeah. Wow.
So it's strange. Like
But you know what? But still, though, I mean, there is some respect you got to have for that because the world progresses, right? Things change, things evolve. Evolution is evolution, no matter what it is. That's what they did thousands of years ago to learn how to work with these animals, right,
Yes.
wrong, or indifferent, right? And then as things go, you got to honor some of that tradition.
Yeah, I mean, some of them will carry on that tradition. I mean, you look at Mongolians. In Mongolia, it's all men that hunt with the eagles. A couple of years ago, it changed. There was one gentleman in Mongolia that had a daughter. He didn't have a son. He had a daughter. And because he didn't have a son, he trained his daughter to become the
Right,
first
hurry.
Mongolian to hunt with the golden eagles. And she now hunts on horseback with the golden eagles, which is amazing.
That is
They were
amazing.
offered to
It
go
is
over to
cool.
Mongolia a couple of years ago to watch them hunting with the golden eagles. Sadly, I couldn't go at the time, so it would be nice to be able to go again.
Oh, that would have been awesome. Well, maybe you
You
get
know-
to make it someday.
And you got to
Yes,
give them some
certainly.
credit for their ability to suture. Because, I mean, could you imagine the size of a bird's eye, the carefulness to get through the eyelid, which is not very large, to not damage the eye globe itself? Because I can't even hem a pant leg. I can't imagine, like,
Yeah, just to be
how
able to
little
do
that
that.
must be.
If you think, you say, people in Dubai, like you think of the Dubais, right? They love their falcons. They spend silly money on falcons, right? Because they use them a lot for racing. Now, if you look at a Dubai plane that is traveling with falcons in it, you go into that plane where all the seats are for people to sit on, you will not find a single seat with a person on it.
Huh.
All these seats are taken over by falcons with little hoods on their heads sitting on the seats.
Yeah, Kyle's saying they've got a ton of them in Dubai. So
They hire the whole plane and only have their falcons sitting on the seats.
wow.
So what about the trays in the upright position and the seat backs locked and all that stuff? And then
They got to
the
have
trays
them down
down.
so they can come give them their,
Trays go
their
down,
on-flight
trays go down and
snacks.
everything. They put little sheet matting along the floors, like little clear sheeting, so they can clean up easily behind the birds when they're doing drop-ins and stuff. Because you've got to remember, your falcons, they're the one bird of prey that does do a lot more drop-ins than any other species. So they'll lose a lot more weight quicker than other species as well.
Okay. Maybe our metabolism's a lot higher.
Yes.
Okay.
They flap their wings a lot more flying than other species.
Okay. So Texas Made was asking a question. I think we was talking about the Mongolian golden eagle.
All right.
I think I seen that on
I think
YouTube
it's
or
actually
Discovery or
Google it.
something.
I think if you Google it, you'll be able to find it on Google.
Yeah,
somewhere.
there's some videos on
On
that. The
YouTube.
Mongolian.
So if you YouTube, say, first Mongolian girl hunting with golden eagle.
Yeah, golden
you
eagle
see it
hunting
on Dad's-
Mongolia.
The first clip was on BBC where her dad actually was on the TV with it and stuff like that. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
But have you ever seen
Okay.
the program? Have you ever seen the program Kess? Yes, I thought you would have. Now
Okay.
that was a brilliant movie, Kess. That was absolutely brilliant. If
Yes.
you've ever seen that, I do highly recommend that you watch Brothers in the Wind. That's
Okay.
a good one to watch. Brothers in the Wind.
Brothers in the Wind. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. It might take you a bit of time to find it because not many places have actually got it up, but it's a brilliant movie to watch. I highly recommend it.
I bet I can find it. Okay. Guys, keep the questions coming. This is awesome.
how many hunts do you
Eagle
organize a month?
Huntress is a film. Okay.
Sorry, what was that?
How many hunts do you organize a month? Not just for your own training or your own needs.
It just varies. I mean, I could have 5, I could have 10, I could have 20. It just all varies. So my hunt days, I only do about 4 or 5 days a month because I do work most of the time down at the centre where we take people out just flying birds for fun.
Yeah. Okay.
That keeps you pretty busy, obviously.
Yes,
Dinner.
I'm not meant to start work till 9:30 in the morning, but I go down to work at 8 o'clock every morning without fail. I love my job, and I say to my kids on a regular basis, "You find a job that you enjoy. It's half the battle getting up every morning. You find a job that you love, like I do. You're never going to work another day in your life. You know, I don't see my work as work. I see it as just getting up a normal day, enjoying my life, doing what I love doing, what I've got a big passion to do. So yeah."
That's awesome.
I love it. I love it.
And I think that's the sweet spot. If anybody can find that in their life, then you've really made it. Not many people are that fortunate. So consider
No.
yourself lucky. That's awesome.
Yes. Very lucky.
Dude.
Now, I done gamekeeping years ago. I done pest control and stuff like that. And well, I've landed in the falconer centre, working in the falconer centre, and to be honest, I'll never leave there. I'm happy there. I take my own birds to work with me every day as well, which is great. I get to fly them at the centre and stuff. All the clients get to handle them as well. He done his first wedding about 3 or 4 months ago. We had a wedding at the castle, and all the guests were getting to handle the birds after the wedding. He had over 80 guests at the wedding, and he absolutely smashed it. So we've actually got barn owls at the centre as well. Now our barn owls, they've got a special job. They fly down the wedding aisle with the wedding rings. They deliver the rings to the groom, and then they fly back to us at the very end.
Are you still in touch with your mentor, or is that person passed, or how? Oh, well.
Yeah, my dad's my mentor. He's the one that got me into birds of prey when I was 7 year old, and he's still kicking. Yeah.
I didn't know if you went outside. I didn't know where your training had come from. I mean, I know you told about your childhood, but I didn't know if he was the one that really taught you the ropes, so to speak.
He was the one that taught me the ropes, yeah. When he got me my first bird, he came home when I was 7 year old, handed me a common buzzard chick, and said, "Right, we're going to hand raise that." That was me ever since. So yeah, he's the reason why I do what I do today.
And your son is carrying on.
What I like about it more is he's actually not my real dad. He's my stepdad.
Yeah.
But I see him as my dad because he brought me up. He put the clothes on my back. He put the roof over my head. He put the food in my mouth when I was young. He is the man that I devote everything to because of what he got me interested in. You know, it's not because of him. I wouldn't be doing this sort of thing right now. I don't know what I would be doing right now if it wasn't for him.
Man. And look at it. You've been happy. You're loving it, doing what you love every day. Your boy's into it. And just the education you're bringing to the table to people. I mean, worldwide. I mean, look at this. You know, with all the social media now, what you do is worldwide. I mean, everybody can see this and learn. That's what's cool about it. We appreciate you.
We normally have between 100 to 400 people in our live at a time when I do lives with the birds.
Wow.
And it's always busy with comments and people asking questions. And it's brilliant to be able to educate these people as much as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Until your last breath, right? Is what? Till my last breath.
This is going to be with me the rest of my life. When I'm 60, 70 year old, if I live that long, I will be walking about with birds of prey still out hunting. Even if I'm in a wheelchair, I will have an electric one. I will have dirt wheels. We'll be off-road.
Yeah. Some overinflated, easy terrain tires. Yeah, man, you'll be out there.
No doubt.
I'll still be out there. Like, winter time is our hunting season, and everybody always says to me, "I hate the winter, it's so cold, it's freezing in the mornings." I'm like, I absolutely love it. I didn't love the cold, I absolutely hate the cold, but the fact that these birds perform their best in the colder weather, I will be up first light, first frost. We go out, it's that nice crackle on the ground, you get that nice frosty air going into your lungs. Your birds are just flying fantastic.
You're not even thinking about that cold and how it's affecting you.
No,
because you're just so happy and your adrenaline endorphins are like, right, we're fixing to do this. Yeah. Wow. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's like when I used to go hunt with my grandpa. Same thing. You know, you're up at 3 a.m. It's cold. Why are we up so morning? Right. We got to get there before the deer get there. And you know what? You didn't care. You didn't care. Because once you got out in the woods or out in the wild or whatever, right? Once you got out there, none of that mattered anymore.
No,
You know,
like my
you're with
son.
nature.
My son was out with me a couple of weeks ago hunting, and didn't get me wrong, it was a really, really cold day. It was blowing a gale, it was snowing and everything, it was frosty outside, it was frozen. I think it was actually like -3, -4. Now we were out, and we were out for a good hour and a half, 2 hours, and he's like, "Dad, can we go home yet?" I goes, "What's the matter?" He goes, "Oh, I'm freezing." I goes, "But I thought you enjoyed this." He says, "It does." He says, "But I've got my trainers on." He says, "And I've not got a very good jake on." I says, "Well, that's your choice to wear the wrong footwear. When you knew exactly when you were gone, we're staying out an extra half hour, then we'll go home."
Yeah, I've heard the
He
phrase.
won't, he won't forget next time.
There's
Nope,
no such
certainly not.
thing as inclement weather. Only ill-prepared humans. You
You
know.
come over to Scotland in the winter, most people that come from the States over to Scotland in the winter, and they go, "Damn, it's freezing," and they're walking about with these big puffy jackets on and stuff like that, all wrapped up. Half of our Scotsmen walk about like this, or
They're
walk
running
about
around in
shorts and
t-shirts and
it's
like
really
nothing.
-3.
Yeah.
Again, most of them didn't care.
Well, the Scots are known for being pretty tough. I mean, I've got a Scotch-Irish background myself, so
Yep,
you'll always hear the
Yeah.
lore that's the Scottish are very, very of the earth, very tough people. So, and that environment probably is a big part of that, I would say.
that's it. And we've got the famous kilt.
That's right.
You know, we wear the famous kilts. I've actually got to go and buy myself a new one this coming month because my sister's wedding's this
I
year.
need to get me one.
My brother Tom has some very nice ones. Is it He's got a tartan that he looked up for our family's last name, and I got him a really nice tartan buckle a couple years ago. But he's got some really high end kilts. He likes to wear those like he goes to Renaissance fairs and stuff. I got one brother that really embraces
And
that past
the,
history
and the
of ours.
Gilmer tartan.
Say again?
So everybody's got their own tartan, and I'm the Gilmer tartan.
Okay. I don't know a ton about it. I know enough to respect the differences, but as far as what they represent, that does not in my I don't have that committed to memory.
Yeah.
Yep, and bagpipes. See, I was a firefighter, paramedic for a decade, and I tell you, one of the saddest things you ever hear is go to a large. Because we had a guy pass about a day after of a fire. He had a heart attack, and they ended up calling it a line of duty death because of his work the night before. And this is a fire department with like 1,500 employees, St. Louis City, very large. It's since 1864. It's been around. I mean, it's been a fire department for a long time. In fact, some of the firehouses are still the same ones that were horse and carriage back in the early 1900s. They just now they're just that old, right? And so it's a really neat fire department to work for. And boy, I tell you, one of the biggest tearjerkers is when those bagpipes are playing when they're taking a firefighter to rest. You know, and there's 2,000 people, you know, and fire trucks and flags lining the street, and everyone's in their dress blues. Boy, there ain't a dry eye in the house when those bagpipes start playing. I tell you that is something else that you don't forget.
Nope.
Yeah. So aye, there, that's my birds. That's a bit about me. Hope you have enjoyed.
Man, it's been awesome, and this has been a great kickoff that we wanted to get into exotic pets, and I appreciate you being our friend. And for all the U.S. people that are on TikTok today, but maybe not so much tomorrow, follow Shaw's Exotics on Facebook. Find them on Facebook.
Exotic Animal Encounters. Also, if you guys can private mail me your on the Facebook, give me a little message.
I will.
And give me your YouTube details. It'd be nice to come on the YouTube and watch us on there as well and stuff like that as well, guys. Keep in touch as well. So yeah, thank you very much for having me on. I've really enjoyed being on. Thank you everyone else for the gifts as well. We do really appreciate the gifts.
Barry, you're welcome at the campfire anytime you want to come back.
Yep.
Yeah,
Come on, brother. Come on.
I need to come over the States, that's for sure.
Hey, let's do this again later this year on YouTube. What do you say?
Definitely.
Yeah.
If you ever want to do another one, you just hit me up. I'm more than
All I
happy.
need is an email, and I shoot you an invite. You click the link, and you're on screen, bro. So it's going to be easier. So we'll be in touch on Facebook, and we'll do this again. And we'll get you on another Exotic Pet Month. But we'll do it on YouTube coming up later this year.
Yeah, definitely be in touch, guys. Don't be shy and giving a little message. It'd be nice to keep in touch with you, and thank you very much for having me on tonight. Thank you for everyone.
Thank you so much. You've been awesome. You were
Barry,
enjoying
you've been the best, man. Happy New Year's 2025, man.
Thank you very
Bring
much,
greatness, you know. Yeah,
So
dude.
I'm going to go and head off and deal with my son now because he's been left in the house.
All right, buddy.
You got it,
Enjoy
man.
the
Have a
rest of
great
the
day,
evening.
Barry.
Thanks,
very much for
nephew.
bringing me
Thanks,
on, buddy.
nephew. Thanks,
Much
Barry.
appreciated.
Big thanks from the Naughties, guys.
All right, Dread. Well, did we accomplish what we set out to accomplish on TikTok?
We did. We did.
It's opened an amazing amount. Yeehaw! It's opened up an amazing amount of doors for us, and who would have